doke, shall we get going? You good to go?
Yeah, good to go.
Cool. Okey-doke. So, welcome everybody to our itag member spotlight event. So Genesys is the company that's of the focus for today. Over the course of the next, I've roughly planned about 45 minutes content, 15 minutes questions, but we'll see where we land. We hope to give you an insight into Genesys, who we are, what we do, but mainly we're going to focus our presentation today on how we do it. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by two of my colleagues from Genesys office, Adele and Claire. I'll let them do their introductions when they start, Jaren. And we really hope that everyone takes away a little something from today. Speaking of which, we're very keen to keep the conversation going. So with the amount of content we've here, we're going to skim the surface today. So if something comes up that's of interest to you, by all means, reach out to any of us, any of the speakers today on LinkedIn, and we're more than happy to get back to you to fill in the gaps. So let's get into it. So just a quick rundown of the agenda. So we're going to start with who we are. I'm going to give a brief background for anyone who's not familiar with Genesys, to the Genesys story, what Genesys is about, and specifically Genesys Galway and how Genesys Galway came to be. I'm also going to cover some of the things that we are doing in the community at the moment, and then I'm going to hand over to Adele, who's going to talk us through diverse teams and bring us through some of the products and the product suite that we have inside of Genesys, as well as how we approach product delivery. Then we're going to move on to Claire, who's going to talk about her experience of moving from intern through to associate with Genesys, and she's going to explore the importance of having room to grow and being supported along that journey. And then we're going to finish up with a very brief rundown of the importance of collaboration. So let's get started. Okie doke. So what does Genesys do? What's the problem that Genesys tries to solve? Unfortunately, when I glance at this image here, it's one that is probably quite familiar to most of us on the call. So the things like, we chatted with your web team. I can't see what you're talking about in my system. We'll respond to your email in 2 business days. What was your login again? Can you repeat that question one more time? Let me transfer you. The reality is that this is impersonal. It's a horrible customer experience that leaves customers frustrated, and the reality is that it frequently ends in customer churn. So what Genesys does, really at the root of it all, is we make it about people. So customer experience has never been more important. The need to understand the journey your customers come from, their interactions with the business, to truly empathize with the scenario and the path that they've walked, is at the core of everything we do. So it all starts with people. Now, we're at the center of 70 billion, I'll go into this in a bit more detail in a minute, but of 70 billion interactions per year. So we handle 70 billion interactions. And what we've learned from those interactions is that what customers want are personalized experiences that are contextually relevant to them as an individual and at the very moment that they need it. So we believe that empathy is the key thing delivering customer experience. And it's delivered through personalized interactions that start with you as an individual, the customer right at the center. And then it's powered by understanding your unique needs, your intent, and your personal preferences. So our vision for how organizations deliver this, we refer to as experience as a service. So let me step you through what that means, and let's explore how you deliver experience as a service, how you deliver personalized experiences. So when companies create engagements that are based on empathy, customers feel remembered, they feel heard, they feel understood. And this is how we forge stronger connections with our customers. And that in turn results in building up trust and building loyalty. And that this goes right back around to us seeing better business results. So to achieve personalized experiences, we need the right technology and tools in place. At a high level, it comes down to 3 components, and they're the 3 components I'm going to walk us through today. So let's start off with customer and employee data. So you need customer and employee data to gather and understand your customers. So after all, to show true empathy, to make customers feel known, to make them feel understood, we need to know something about them. And the same is true for our agents of call centers as well. So to foster employee engagement, we need to know about them and about their work. And with all the applications out there, the best automation in the world is worth nothing if we can't draw upon these three things: historical, third-party, and behavioral data. So a contact center is a goldmine for this. But it can only really reach its full potential when it is unified across siloed data systems, both inside and out of house. And to do this, the right information must be openly shared across solutions offered by the different tech vendors. And that includes powerhouses like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and those affiliation relationships there. And as you unify data sources and the digital interactions pour in faster than ever, your data mine grows. And so does the challenge of making sense of it all. So you need to do something with it. So that brings us on to the next step. That's where artificial intelligence comes in. So AI helps us personalize experiences at scale by making sense of massive amounts of data to anticipate, predict, and customize experiences. So it enables us to understand conversations, providing agents, for example, with real-time details, insights that enable them to be empathetic. It does so across engagement channels and across marketing, sales, service. So it breaks down those silos. Now, AI interprets, predicts, and recommends the next optimal option. So we'll take, for example, proactively matching customers to agents based on the finest details of a successful interaction, based on your customers' preferences and your business goals. And it works in the background to help automate decisions about the things like when to reach out and intervene, and to do so in the right way, when to let the customer carry on the path that they've started, when should you automate interactions with the bot, when to route them through to an agent, when to coach the agent for better results, and even when to schedule that agent to begin with. So AI is not only useful, but critical in creating this true personalized engagements that I was explaining at the start of the vision. And it removes time-consuming transactional tasks, and it puts the rep's attention from important interactions that really do require a human connection and true empathy. Which leads us on to the third component, engagement. So engagement tools are set you up to match and deliver in those key moments of truth. Now, moments of truth is a phrase we use inside of Genesys for those moments where a customer is engaging with a brand. Everything needs to come together, and it needs to be unified across marketing, sales, and service. So you have the data to make your customers feel known and make them feel remembered. You have AI-powered insights, and that is to make their intent and their needs heard. Now it's time to make customers feel understood. And with the help of engagement tools that set your team up to provide experience rooted in empathy. So this means greeting customers at the right part of their journey, not just on the communication channel that they prefer, but in a way that suits the device that they're using, but also in knowing where that customer has been and where they're going, so that your organization can create those experiences, those personalized experiences, instead of just kind of managing a mammoth amount of interactions. So altogether, with the data, AI, and engagement tools, you can create personalized experiences that provide true empathy to build trust, loyalty. And that is what we refer to in Genesys as experience as a service. So if I was to describe kind of in one statement, one slide, what we focus on, our products and services provide problem-solving power, which is the effectiveness, in a timely manner, the efficiency, and then the key part with proper human context and understanding, and that's where the empathy comes in. So we believe that these aren't merely business values that we have up on a wall. These are human qualities, and we believe that it's human qualities that power the best products. So in summary, we're putting people first, because at the end of the day, we are all more than just customers. We are more than just employees. We're people first. And our aim is to make customer experience personal. So that hopefully gives you a rundown of what Genesys does, but maybe not like who Genesys is. So I just wanted to give literally one quick run through of some context to set the scene for Genesys. So as it stands today, we are in excess of 6,300 employees worldwide. and we support 11,000 plus customers. Now, the result of this is that across those 11,000 plus customers, we support 70 billion interactions per year. So a massive number of interactions coming through Genesys. And that is across over 100 countries. So our transformation has enabled us to become a company selected by some of the most powerful brands that empower their personal customer experiences. So in fact, over 60% of the world's 100 most valuable brands count on us to deliver great customer experiences. And here's a few of them listed. So these brands, together with our 11,000 customers, put us at the center of managing 70 billion customer interactions per year. So that is the Genesys story. But why Galway? And why specifically what does the Genesys site in Galway focus on? What's the key to the Galway aspect of it? So in order to answer that question, I need to cast our minds back to 2013, when a startup called AutoCloud was formed by these three founders, Barry O'Sullivan, Joe Smith, and Dan Arara. And the aim was to build a successful Irish tech company that had a global reach based on local talent and showing that it can be done from the west of Ireland. They're driven by the state of the customer care business at the time, all with backgrounds coming from customer care. And they had a deep understanding of the state of the industry, which was rooted in technology that was extremely dated. And it was time to move customer care into the web era. So they began leveraging the local network for hiring. Now, this was very effective at the time because they were based in the NUI Galway's campus. So that facilitated that process. And it was especially fruitful within the university environment, where they were able to hire really amazing talent, those finishing up research projects, PhDs, master's programs, and some really great graduates. So then in 2015, the team had grown quite substantially from the early days. And at this stage, there were a team of 15. In 2016 was a significant year for AutoCloud when they moved to the Porter Shed. And I personally wasn't around during these days, but I still hear the stories so fondly mentioned of the times in the Porter Shed, where I think an awful lot of those core connections with other tech companies in the Porter Shed were really formed. Some stories that cannot be shared on an event like this, and some that can. And then in 2018, we were acquired by Genesys. At this stage, it was a team of 22. So where are we now? So this graph in itself, I think, highlights the significant investment that has been put inside of Galway for Genesys. But why is that? So the Galway site started out with 22, as I mentioned, when they were acquired. We are actually 160 today. And the aim for us is to be close to 300 by the end of 2021. So the Galway site, really significant in the vision that I referred to at the start. So you would have heard me talk about like data, about the AI, about engagements. So the Galway site is the R&D hub for Genesys, and it's the center of globally for AI for Genesys. And that growing Genesys workforce in Galway is focused on advancing the use of AI and machine learning to improve those personalized customer experiences and fueling them in empathy. So that will hopefully give you the rundown of Genesys, what we do, the Galway aspect of it. But Galway is obviously very important to the company as a whole, but I couldn't give this presentation without describing how important Galway is to the Galway site and to everyone who works inside the Genesys. There is absolute passion and support for supporting local when it comes to our office in Galway. It's embedded in who we are. Galway is a massive part of our story, as you can see from the early days through to where we are now, and we're keen to support Galway and the west of Ireland wherever we can. So one of those areas is particularly encouraging students into tech and doing what we can. We're actually organising a design thinking workshop with Gort Secondary School at the moment to kind of give a flavour and to show the excitement that can be involved in working in the domain, working in the field. And a significant part of this goes back to the quote of if you can't see it, you can't be it. So we really want to showcase like what are all the different opportunities that are available for you in tech and try and entice some interest. As well as this, we carry out and host multiple meetups around Galway. This is something that we're really keen on doing, and we'd love to get more companies involved. So it's kind of like a more Galway-based thing. This one in the picture here is the UX meetup. This was one that was held just before COVID. I think it's in December, just before COVID. And there's also some AI meetups. And as well as this, we're very keen to share where we can any learnings or things that we're exploring at the time. This is an example of the Atlantic Festival that we did for itag, where Magic and Ismail did a talk on Feature Store. So that's supporting tech, but as well as this, supporting charities is hugely important to us, giving back where we can. And honestly, the team get really involved in this. There's a lot of uptake. Once someone mentions something, there's a lot of people interested. So here's just a snapshot of a few things that we've done regarding for the Simon community, Sleep Out for the homelessness, as well as support for COPE. And then a very exciting announcement that came this year got to do with the sponsorship of Connacht Rugby. So Genesys is the Connacht Rugby principal partner for the next 3 seasons, and something that everyone in the office is very excited by. And on that, I'm going to hand over to Adele, who's going to dig more into the products and what we do, and then the importance of a team being at the heart of Genesys. Adele, just let me know if you have access there.
I think so. Thank you, Rachel.
Perfect.
Thank you all so much for joining us here today at Genesys and giving us the opportunity to tell you a bit about ourselves, and especially those of you that are not familiar with us. I'll try to cover as well a little bit of how do we do it. Before that, to introduce myself, Adele Kelly, graduated from NUI Galway almost 20 years ago. I've worked in a number of companies in the telecom software space over the years. Roles have varied from professional services through to software development in an R&D project, and taking on more leadership responsibilities in the most recent years, eventually arriving here in Genesys about a year ago in the AI group. A consistent thread throughout my career has been working closely with customers who use the products that I worked on. You know, sitting on site as a young developer with users of the software and seeing it up close, it can be humbling. It gives you an insight into the impact that your code has on a business. So because of this and other early on opportunities of exposure, I've built up an empathy for customers. So when I see quality on a slide, it means a lot more to me than just another word. So the vision that Genesys has of the customer experience as a service, it resonates with me on a personal level. But anyway, enough about me. I want to tell you about Genesys. And Genesys is a leader in the market and is always evolving. So as a team of engineers, we have to and need to have the best products, and we need to deliver these products faster and better every time. So now, this is a busy slide. I'm going to talk you through it. But so the Genesys AI group is based out of Galway, as Rachel mentioned, but we have colleagues worldwide in our extended team. This slide gives you an idea of where the products that we work on sit in a customer journey through a contact center. And we've all been on that journey, and often. So AI is part of most applications today. By next year, they say 75% of all commercial apps will use AI. So the contact center software will be the same. And why? To bring about that best customer experience, personalizing it, as Rachel's described, with someone who recognizes you, remembers what you talked about the last time you called. That makes a difference. And the AI products that we have help deliver this. So as you see here, Genesys AI is involved in all of the customer journey, predicting the right time to engage with the customer with the right content. So from the start, where predictive engagement gets involved, monitoring the user browsing, context and intent is used to know when is the best time to reach out and assist. The journey continues on with automation with our bots and self-service applications. And then, when required, further enhancing the journey, bringing in the agents. The product Predictive Routing gets involved, routing to the right agent based on predictive models, which are driving business outcomes. Once rooted AI is involved again, surfacing content, enhancing engagement by surfacing relevant knowledge. Workforce management systems leverage AI to build accurate forecasts and schedules in a fraction of the time. The touch points are throughout, as you can see, and the offers, they're proactive and they're done on inbound, outbound, on any channel. I want to take you back to a step on this journey and do a deep dive, which is the routing part, because the predictive routing product is the one I myself am most familiar with. So routing is at the core of everything that happens within a contact center. The evolution of routing in the industry is one that started with the automatic caller distribution, the ACD. This evolved into a queue. It was one dimension, it was simple. But then we introduced skills and it started to get complex. And now we're seeking to take that complexity away, that unnecessary complexity, and instead let AI determine the best resource or person for the interaction. Step up predictive routing. It's about just that. Optimizing business outcomes in real time. Improving overall business performance by identifying and connecting the most ideal employee to fulfill each customer inquiry based on expected outcomes. Business outcomes that can be optimized. What are these business outcomes? Examples would be first call resolution. Who doesn't want that? Their query answered on the first time you call the contact center. A reduction in the number of transfers in a system, being transferred from Pat to Grania to Seamus and then back again to Pat, relaying the same information each time. We'd all prefer to avoid that. Would you like your business to increase in sales? These are all examples of business outcomes that can be improved by integrating our product, Predictive Routing, into the routing engine of the contact center. In the background, Predictive Routing uses models. Models are mathematical algorithms that are trained using data to replicate a decision that an expert would make when provided with that same data. A model, it attempts to replicate a specific decision process that a team of experts would make if they could review all available data. Data is like the fuel of our products in the AI group. It's the new oil. The better the data, the better the outcomes. Data comes from a variety of sources, customer-related activities, the interaction itself, and of course, agent-related data. It's captured, processed, anonymized, and then we use it to train the models. But I need to move on. And I'd like to cover a little bit about the architecture of predictive routing. So predictive routing is offered as software as a service, known as SaaS. And it was built from the ground up with that intention, to be served from the cloud. Why? Primary reason, scale. That data processing I mentioned, those data sets are huge and they require a lot of computation power and compute resources. So you only spin up these resources when you need them. So you can imagine the savings in comparison to putting hardware on premise. Proactive monitoring of model health is critical, and we ensure the benefit of the models, therefore, continues for the customers. So every day, hundreds of commits go to production orgs across our services. And to do this and to speed up the development of these new features, Genesys has adopted the concept of common microservices. So these are non-overlapping, elastic, self-healing, secure, observable services, bringing features live into production with security and quality ensured. They're consumable via well-defined APIs. Coupling between services is by API only, not data tiers. Our microservices are implemented, built and deployed, operated in a common way. Our services are owned from inception through to operation by the team that creates them. And this approach, in my view, allows our teams to deliver great features without compromising the whole system. It makes App Foundry possible. App Foundry is a marketplace for these solutions, offer Genesys customers integrations and applications. So predictive routing, it has the power of a generic deployment in the cloud, and we in engineering know what that means. But at the same time, it's providing a tailored, optimized experience for our customers and their business outcomes. So how are we doing it? How do we take these products into production quickly and nimbly? Well, we put the team at the heart of what we do. We empower them to explore. There's a freedom to maneuver. A team is not a group of people who work together. A team of people who trust each other. We need the right team members working together. And this for us has to be a diverse group of skilled people because of the nature of AI solutions. Domain experts, data scientists, software engineers, UX experts, product management, professional services, documentation primes. And I'm just describing the last meeting that I just came out of. So yeah, we all have a voice, and we all bring those voices together to succeed. And my ultimate goal as a dev manager is to set my team up for success. What is the success of a team? It's delivering our products to production with quality, that they scale, they're performant, they're secure, that we can deliver this functionality in a timely manner to customers, functionality that they want and that they need. So how do we set up our team for success? I believe there are pillars required, and there are a few. One of them that we have in place is the leadership. We are led with purpose in Genesys, empowerment, thanks to great leadership from the top down, giving the right balance. It makes my job as a dev manager much easier when you know that an executive sponsor has your back, that your team players are thought of highly, are supported in every way, not just with training that they need, but the guardrails are in place. So developers, the grassroots, the developer pool is empowered to explore technologies, try things, instigate change, be innovative. They have a freedom to play. Play is where ideas come from, and that fuels innovation. Security, it's not just a person that swoops in at the end. Security is a team of experts that come on board for that feature development journey with us. Security architects review our early designs. Each and every person is trained and skilled in all things security. It's considered in everything that we do and build. There's quality. Quality is built into everything. It has to be. We must deliver products consistently with top quality. Learning and skills. So the nature of tech is that you have to continue to learn, as change is the only constant. Not just the training though, and the certification, but you get to build a muscle with working alongside experienced engineers here. So the learnings are most importantly put into place. You know, the office has so many people who are experienced in AWS, who work alongside those who are in the process of getting certified or are building their experience. There's a really good mix of skill levels here. I mean, cloud is the language, and it's everywhere. You know, even to the senior vice president of the group, he can talk about EC2 and S3 and know what he means. I mean, with all levels of the org speaking the same language, it just makes communication and that transfer of information that's critical so much easier, because cloud is a mindset. It's more than just DevOps. Leadership have brought into this in Genesys, the sharing of resources concept your service has to accommodate, communicating within the team, but also between teams. Another pillar is reflection. And are we perfect here? No, we're not. And we'll be the first to admit that. And I think the fact that it's recognized that it's a huge superpower, because we continuously look at how we do things and continuously try to improve on them, tweaking our processes in a small way, sometimes a big way, through experiments led by teams. We measure, and sometimes we get it wrong and back out those changes. But more often than not, these are big improvements that we hold on to. And I think this awareness of constant change and improvements is required, and it's a strength. And the team controls the introduction so that they can support, with support, bring in these changes at their own pace. One of the first meetings that I was invited to was by a project which was delivering a new feature to production successfully. And I'm sure that success was well celebrated. However, this meeting was about the failures along the way, and most importantly, the learnings. And there was no issue with them sharing this information. There was no hesitation. And I've witnessed this so much since. The leadership, the management are so supportive and encouraging of this type of information sharing, because they know this is what we can base future successes and wins on. Failure is going to happen, and learnings from those failures are something that we can use. Another pillar is the fact that there is a me in team, and how people perform is critical to an organization's success. So personal development, a career path on track must be managed well, and an effective appraisal process provides ongoing opportunities, recognize people's successes, give them constructive feedback on their performance, set objectives, time-bound goal targets, relevant, that are achievable, empowering teams and individuals to reach their full potential. Because innovation is ideas, and ideas come from that freedom to play and not being told you're doing it the wrong way, which leads me to my final pillar, which is culture. And in Genesys, the culture is one that you can detect when you walk in the door due to its potent energy. And Claire will talk about her time with AltoCloud and that startup mentality, and that has certainly been maintained and retained. Everyone has a voice here, and that's a great foundation for learning, for experimenting, for failing. We strive for a blameless culture and the huge benefits that brings. As part of our experience, of course, we've had the COVID challenges that are not unique to Genesys. It's impacted all companies. But working in Genesys, I feel an empathy from the leadership, and I believe that people are put first. What do I do myself on this team? I do a little bit of everything, which is why I love it. I'm involved in programs from the start to the finish, making sure the right people are working on the right projects, that they have what they need. Collaborating, communicating effectively, it's how I consider myself representing my team to the best of my abilities. For me, the team are at the center of everything, and I support them. And I ask them whenever I can, what can I do? What do you need? How are you doing? I'm here to support them growing into roles that they aspire to be and to have impact. Trying to blend the company strategy goals that they are focused and that with the engineer's personal goals. It's challenging and it's equally rewarding. And I'll conclude there, and I'll hand you over to Claire, and who's going to take you through her experience in Genesys.
Yeah, thanks for that, Adele. So, as you may have heard, my name is Claire Purcell, and I'm an associate software engineer in Genesys in the Galway office. So I started this role in September of last year, but again, as Adele kind of hinted at, my career with Genesys started a little bit before that. So I actually, sorry, I'm actually turning on subtitles here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen that come up before.
Oh, weird. We'll go with it. So I studied electronic and computer engineering in NUI Galway, and basically for my third year placement, I was joining this startup company called AltoCloud. Fast forward nearly 2 months in, and I'm still obviously finding my feet, new to the working world. And as we know, AltoCloud was acquired by Genesys in February of 2018. So this was obviously a very exciting time, made even more exciting by the fact that Genesys actually brought the whole AltoCloud team over to Las Vegas for a week for the Engineering Days event that is held annually. It was obviously crazy, and I was so lucky to be 21 at the time, and we'll leave it there. Other than to say that we've never really had such a successful team bonding moment as trying to overcome jet lag at a Calvin Harris show. So moving on from there, the next 6 months were obviously a roller coaster ride as we transitioned from a startup company of 22 people to a team of 45 engineers and counting within the AI group of Genesys in October 2018. Every team member really during this time, from intern to senior developer to architect, had a voice and an equal part to play during these early stages of integrating the Alta Cloud products with some of the other Genesys products through be it research, some design work, and obviously just some good old hacking as well. And this collaborative and inclusive way of working that we adopted is something which I'm happy to say hasn't been lost over the last 2 years and roughly 100 new team members later. And really that's one of the best parts of working for a company with, you know, this startup vibe that we have been working hard to maintain since the acquisition. So since coming back as an associate, I've been working on the Predictive Engagement product. It's a Genesys offering for both cloud and on-premise customers built on the legacy Alta Cloud product, which I have been working on as an intern. It's a solution for engaging customers using web chat, content offer, or otherwise at the right time, such as when it looks like they may be about to abandon an application process or might be having difficulty following through the sale or purchase. It's built mainly with a significant data science effort behind the scenes and also based heavily on collection and analysis of live customer data, such as through their interactions, maybe the pages they're viewing on a website, as you can see here in an example of an interaction, or their characteristics, such as they may have been marked previously as a mortgage prospect during a mortgage campaign. So all of this information on the customer is made readily available to a contact center operator when the customer does seek out help, and it really provides the background context needed to understand the customer's needs straight away and streamlines the whole process. So on top of maintaining the current product, as new customers are constantly onboarding, again, we're a pretty new product, there are also lots of exciting new features in the pipeline. So that's kind of one of the best parts of working on a relatively new product and being part of redefining a market segment. There's certainly never a dull moment. We try to work in such a way that we really learn on the job by getting stuck into the Scrum teams and the work from the beginning. It sounds a lot more daunting than it is in reality. We usually start off doing a lot of pair programming within the team until you find your feet and eventually feel ready to start tackling some independent work. Usually this work would involve developers being exposed to the full stack, including work with the backend APIs and services, the front-end user interface, and a bit of resiliency and acceptance testing, which is really important in all of the work that we do. We keep the focus on bugs and the experience of our customers throughout the development process by emphasizing automated testing and load testing at all times. This may include simulating direct use of the UI and APIs, and then also simulating some more general customer traffic to keep ahead of the level of traffic that's constantly growing in production. We often do this kind of work as a team, so the more junior team members can learn the ropes from the seniors. In this way, everyone is contributing to maintaining a high standard of quality alongside new feature releases and new customers, which is really one of the common goals. Being exposed to all these different areas of development really helps you grow some well-rounded skills as a developer starting out, and it helps to find the area that you really shine in and that you may enjoy working in, or hopefully would enjoy working in at least. So there's a real emphasis in Genesys on our personal and career development to help us win together as one team. Sounds cheesy, but to be honest, it's true. And for example, some past team members have joined different teams within the company, taking on DevOps or SRE roles, or even branching into product management after working closely with the product managers in development roles and developing a real interest in this kind of work. So there's really endless opportunities. Yeah, I myself am still relatively new to the working world, and I'm still kind of testing the waters, trying to get as much experience in as many different areas as possible But seeing all of these opportunities that are available to a grad is a great position to be in. And needless to say, I'm excited to see what's in store for me in the coming years with Genesys. So on that note, I'll hand you back over to Rachel.
I'm gonna, oh, I think I found it.
And my subtitles are gone, are they?
I don't know what happened there. I've never seen that.
We'll put it down as accessibility.
There's always something at a virtual event, isn't there? Okay, so as I said at the start, we hope that in this presentation, that you may not be coming from a technical background, you might be coming from PM, UX, from just an interest in understanding how Genesys, what is the importance of Galway. So we're hoping that it will kind of touch a little bit of those topics across the board. So in order to do that and to really showcase how empathy is embedded in everything we do, I couldn't really let this presentation pass without talking about the importance of collaboration. So in order to do so, I'm just going to give a run through of an example of a meeting. Kind of, I'd say, standard enough meeting that I've come across in the past. Now, the majority of us have been in this meeting, or at least one like it, and hit some of these things. And maybe earlier stage of career as opposed to later, but I can guarantee some of these things will resonate with you. The very first one, the hippo. Okay, so if anyone hasn't heard of the hippo, it is the highest paid person's opinion. And we've all been there, where as a meeting evolves, it becomes less about the data and it becomes about like who's the most senior in the room and decisions being made that way. Another trait of traditional non-inclusive meetings, purposely saying non-inclusive, and I'll get to that in a second. Not having the opportunity to speak up. Now, this can be completely harmless, purely got to do with the number of people in the room. And you might find it particularly bad on Zoom as well, just getting that opportunity to speak up, getting that in. And typically it's actually the kind of more, I don't know, the more junior resources, or if your opinion contrasts the rest of the people in the room, they're generally the voices that are dulled in this scenario, and they're the ones that we need to speak up in those moments. Defensiveness. See it time and time again, they call it the Ikea Effect. So we have an affiliation with the things that we create. So if you've ever created a flat pack piece of furniture, it's the Ikea Effect is the reason why it's still in your house and you can't get rid of it. So we have this, and this is a human behavior. We all have it. We have it, like, it's my baby, it's my thing, it's my idea. So we have this element of defensiveness to the things that we're affiliated about. We protect it. There is also an element of unconscious bias. Now, again, if you want to kind of dig into unconscious bias, there's a whole area of behavioral psychology that talks more on it. But I guess suffices to say today that every one of us has unconscious bias. Whether we realize it or not today, it exists. And part of that unconscious bias is we purposely seek out opinions that confirm our opinions. And it's a thing that we can't change about human behavior. In fact, there's some reasons why we need that in human behavior. But once we're aware of it, we can do something about it. However, in a non-inclusive meeting, unconscious bias is not your friend. And then ideas been shot down. And again, we've probably all been there, where certain ideas are being surfaced, and before they even get a chance to kind of evolve, they get shot down. So what I've described here is maybe not all the things mightn't be in every single meeting, but I'm pretty sure everyone on this call has come across some of these scenarios. And meetings generally are non-inclusive. So there's an awful lot of talk about like diversity at the moment, and not just diversity of race, diversity of gender, but diversity of mindsets, of skill sets. And in order to do something about that, it doesn't just end with hiring. And I know there's a lot of conversations on hiring at the moment, so I purposely kind of took it into the tactical of what happens once you're inside of an organization. And this is something that I have felt throughout the years. Diversity does not mean it is inclusive. There is a difference between a diverse meeting and an inclusive meeting. So at Genesys, we purposely embody a framework, a collaborative framework, to kind of challenge some of these behaviors and to make sure we are really having fully inclusive sessions, workshopping. And this is one of the reasons why you'll hear Adele talk about like the culture, how the safe space, this is how we do it. So I'd love to give a 10-minute conversation on design thinking, but time will not allow. But there's loads of articles online about design thinking. How it's done isn't as important for today as why it's done. And I want to tell you why we follow design thinking. So design thinking gets multiple perspectives in the room together. And in doing so, it means that the decisions that you're making are data driven. So you're removing that hippo aspect to it. So you're purposely seeking out the data, and that is the idea of design thinking. You're going in presuming we have a whole load of assumptions. The way we think right now, it's based on assumptions, and you seek out things to challenge, data to back it up, or data to challenge your assumptions. And that's embedded in the process. Time carved out for everyone to share ideas. So again, through design thinking workshops, you work together alone is what it's referred to. So everyone participates, everyone adds ideas, and every idea only has the weight of a post-it. If you've ever been involved in either virtual or in-person workshops, post-its galore, but everything has the weight of a post-it. And that's really important because it means that everyone is contributing. You don't have to wait for that moment that you can try and speak up and get your moment to speak. So everyone contributes, everything is at an equal playing field, and all voices are heard. As well as that, we purposely have timers allocated to make sure that every single person presents their ideas. So again, this can be a difficult one, to have equal opportunity for everyone to present. And that's where design thinking comes in. Seeking out someone to challenge our thinking. So if we refer back to the unconscious bias, the defensiveness, with design thinking activities, particularly with design sprints, we purposely seek out an opinion that challenges our thinking, that it's inbuilt into the process. And that means that our default is not who is right, but what is right. So you're seeking data to challenge our assumptions. So it becomes less about the individual affiliation to ideas, and it becomes more of an equal playing field. Which leads us on to the different perspectives in the room. So where I was saying earlier, the minorities typically in the room, and when I say minorities, it could be minority in mindset, minority in skill set, minority in, it could be across a range of different things, but it's typically the minorities that struggle to speak up and get the perspective heard, because natural human behavior means that we seek out opinions that confirm with our own. When you hold inclusive, empathy-driven workshops, you purposely set the stage to gain all the different perspectives in the room, and you plan it so that the people that you're bringing into that room have varying perspectives, have different skill sets, and you purposely plan it that way. And then the last one is an opportunity to build upon the ideas of others. So the idea of this light bulb is a myth. This is not how innovation happens. No one just comes up with the brainwave and an amazing idea. Ideas come from, and Adele mentioned it earlier, failure. Building upon your failure, learning from failures, building upon the ideas of others. If you've ever been involved in design thinking workshops, or a really successful design thinking workshop would be something that you couldn't possibly say where that idea, one person that idea came from, because it's an evolution of building upon the ideas of others. And you need to have some really bad ideas before you can get to the really good ones. And that's where true innovation comes. So at Genesys, we are very much focused on not just diversity, but inclusive meetings, inclusive workshops. And this is how we plan to deliver experience as a service that is truly focused on the person and empathy driven. So I think we landed okay on time, actually. And so we have a few minutes for questions. If anyone has any there, I will just double check the chat. So you can either unmute and speak up and ask questions, or you can put it into the chat and then I can ask it out, whichever suits best.
Hi, this is Kat here. I had first of all, great talk. It was great to hear all those stories. I had a question for Claire. So you mentioned autonomy as part of your talk. I was wondering if you could tell us about, what does autonomy look like for you as an associate engineer?
Yeah, great question, by the way. So basically, it all kind of comes from this idea that we don't have these specific boxes that we put tasks into. We don't have tasks that are for the senior people, that are for the junior people. We don't have this kind of idea of a lighter or an easier workload that goes to the new people and you work your way up. Of course, you work your way up with practice and with getting used to the work, but really it's that the idea is very welcomed of challenging yourself, of trying out something new, of, you know, there's so much to be gained for Genesys as a company, for the AI group in Galway, in everyone kind of becoming more diverse, I suppose, in their skill set. And yeah, really it's that there's these opportunities to expand, to grow. You're not kind of limited to maybe like a 2 years defined in training. You get really kind of stuck into the work from the word go. And yeah, it's a pretty autonomous process, I feel, and you can really advance your own career through the work that you're doing and through trying new things. It's very much encouraged.
Awesome, thank you.
Is there any other questions there? If not, or while you're thinking or composing questions, just wanted to give a call out. So as I'm on the itag committee, I couldn't let this moment slip to mention tomorrow we are hosting itag Coaching for Success. So this is our kickoff for a mentorship program done through the Digital Women's Forum. So tomorrow it's going to be kind of an open discussion. So if you have any questions regarding being a mentor or a mentee, if you have any interest in signing up for being a mentor or mentee, absolutely, please do come along. You can get access to sign up for the event through the exact same link that you would have went through when you were signing up for this event. So if there isn't any other questions, I don't think I see any there, we might just leave it there. Thank you so much for all your time and attention, even through some hiccups. And thanks a million for attending from all of itag.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.